Welcome to Human or Athlete, another episode, another week. I'm so excited to bring on Matteo Vallotto, player for Sandnes out in Sweden, and also played for Norway a couple of times as well. What a guy.
How you doing, pal?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, bro. Long time no see.
It is, but I'm so glad we've made this conversation happen. It's going to be exciting.
I'm happy we finally linked up again. It's been a
Let's do
couple of
it.
years now.
Yeah, it has.
So, like,
Let's
how do
go
we
on.
know each other?
Yeah, let's go through that. Obviously we met down in London at Fab, at like a development kind of football academy. And yeah, talk to them about
Because basically, my brother was living there, and
exactly.
he wanted he played for like Viking, which is like a big club in Norway, and he just wanted to do something else, just like try something new. So he came to this Fab Academy where you obviously were staying at, and just living life, enjoying the process, and trying to do some other things, learn about
Hmm.
a bit more about English football, because in Norway and Scandinavia and Sweden, wherever it is, we're huge fans of the Prem.
Yeah.
So he wanted to, yeah, just like learn from you guys, and he left there. He stayed for 3 months, I think, and then suddenly, like, the chance to go on trials in England. So I
Hmm.
came and I stayed at the Fab Academy with you
Yeah.
guys, because obviously my brother was there, and he was already living there when I came, and he was extremely happy and just like really enjoyed the surroundings and the people. So I figured out, maybe why not just like stay with him, and we did have some practices together as well, like some
Yeah.
trainings, and yeah, we just really got along. It's
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
obviously, like, I'm born in Switzerland because, yeah, for some reason. And weren't you as well?
Not born there, but obviously I moved out there pretty quick, so I lived there 10 years.
Playing for like baseball as well, right?
Yeah, in and around Basel, kind of reserve clubs and whatever. But yeah, exactly.
We kind of like
Connected on
just
that.
hit it off, and obviously we had a lot of fun. So that's how we know each other.
Exactly. Yeah. It has. I remember, like, obviously Niels and you both coming over, and we got on well. Like, we always had fun on the pitch and off it, so it was a great kind of connection.
Times, man, great times. I remember it well. I kind of miss it, man.
Man, me too. It was good fun. Talk to the people that don't know kind of your story through football, and how your career has gone so far as well.
Yeah, sure. First off, I actually started to play football pretty late, when I was like around 10, 11, which is kind of late because
Yep.
when we lived in Switzerland, the only thing like me and my brother were doing was, for some reason, judo. It's like a mixed martial arts. And then obviously we moved to Norway because my mom's Norwegian. So we came over and just found it so odd that all of my friends were like playing football.
Yeah.
And I was like the only one who wasn't like doing, and I wanted to be with my classmates and etc. So I just started playing football just basically for fun when I was like 12, 11. And bro, when I tell you I was shit, I was the worst one, the worst kid. Like, they only could use me as a goalkeeper. So so that's how it started, and then obviously I just had so much fun with it, and I knew I was bad, but for some reason I just like evolved
Yeah.
much quicker than the others because I think I just had so much fun with it. So,
Yeah.
and then by the age of like 14, I got like recruited to Viking as well
Hmm.
with my brother. So we're both playing there for, yeah, let's say a good like 4 years in total.
Hmm.
Uh, and in between that, yeah, just suddenly like did really well. Got some like call ups, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Some like I never thought I'd be able like to like get that far, and just really enjoying my football, and then suddenly,
When you say call ups for Norway, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Just
like different kind of like camps,
yeah.
yeah, and it was just like a great experiences, and I just like kept going and just had, and then suddenly I got the opportunity to come to England and have a trial for Fulham.
Yeah.
which for me was huge
Yeah.
because I knew like some of like the best guys at my age in Norway already had been training there, so and recruited. So for me, it was like it was just a great experience, man. And so that's why I came to Fab and
Yeah.
stayed with you guys. So I went on trial the first time for 2 weeks, and then obviously I had to move out from the Fab Academy because the Fab Academy is located in Bisham.
Yeah.
So it was kind of far away. So I had to stay with like an old lady somewhere in like in the Fulham surroundings, which was kind of weird, to be honest. But it was a great experience. I performed it really well, and for some reason, well, I know the reason, but I didn't get signed. And for me, that was obviously extremely heartbreaking, because I just like had such a great time. I just had like received a couple of friends there at the club, and just like I don't know if you remember, but I think he's still Norwegian national team player playing at Fulham, which was called Stefan Johansson.
Yeah.
He was playing at Fulham for a couple of years, and when I was there, he was there as well. So for me, it was like huge to have like a Norwegian figure there, and he took good care of me and talked to me and made sure that everything was okay, and it was really great. And but I think politics fucked me over.
Yeah.
With Fulham. But the fun, I went back home to Norway and I was like really sad and devastated. And for some reason, I got like another call up at Fulham. So I came back to Bisham first with the Fab Boys and just like had a couple of trainings, and then I left back to Fulham, and I was like telling some of my friends at Fulham that I was coming back, and they were like so happy and etc. And I was really really happy as well, because then I felt like then it's meant to be, like it's gonna happen. Like they definitely want me there for good reason and blah 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 blah. And again, I didn't get signed, so it was kind of devastating. But after the Fulham trial, I actually had a trial at Tottenham.
Yeah.
On their new training ground, which was pretty sick. But to be honest and to be fair, like they were just too good.
Yeah.
Just physically, just like they looked like they were like 25 at the age of like 17, you know.
Yeah, they've got everything those
like
players are like.
Yeah, their physicality, and I didn't really have a chance, to be honest, because I wasn't like as developed as them, and so it was just kind of a surreal experience there as well. So I remember like Pochettino's son was playing in that team, and some of the guys who won the World Cup under 18s were there as well. So it was just a great squad, and they were just too good for me.
Yeah, no, they're top players. Exactly.
And because of the Fulham thing, because I thought they was going to sign me, so Viking, the club I was at the time, allowed me to stay in England for a couple of weeks, and I stayed for a month. So I got how do you say it? I got like a 6-month expulsion from the club.
All right.
So then I changed to another big Norwegian club called Brann.
Yeah.
Brann. And it's in a city called Bergen.
Yeah.
Pretty early at like 17, and and then I signed for another club again after my time there, and I'm in Sandnes now and just enjoying the process.
So I love it.
Quite of a journey. A lot of traveling, obviously a lot of good things as well. I've met great people like you, for example. So it's been quite of a journey.
Yeah, what a journey, what a story. If you don't mind kind of going into detail behind like the behind the scenes at Fulham, what was that like? Probably like more mentally and emotionally with
like my first day was probably like the worst day ever, because I remember I came in the changing room and I think I almost was the only white guy. So for me, being from Norway, it was like kind of shocking, because I'm like so used to like seeing like white people everywhere, and I remember like my first day at Fulham, my clothes got thrown out of the changing room.
Right.
So those guys, they were pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
I did some, like, after the first week, gain the respect, so I was allowed to sit in the changing room. But yeah, but like behind the scenes, I think in football there's a lot of different stuff that you don't always can control,
Yeah.
and a lot of things that happens like behind the scenes that people who aren't in the business doesn't really like understand or imagine. Because I remember like at Fulham I was doing great, and everyone was happy, the coaches were happy, and all like the team wanted me to get signed, and I was just really enjoying myself and feeling like this was a great place where I could take my next step in my football career. And suddenly they signed the brother of a player in the first team instead of me, and he
It
was playing
wasn't.
in my position.
Oh, mad.
Yeah, so they signed him instead, and I just remember I was like so shocked because I thought it was so unfair, because he was there at the same time as I was there, and obviously I've seen it in training, and I definitely thought that I was like better and more talented than he was,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason or another they signed him, and and like I was talking to my friends at Fulham, which I still, it's pretty cool, and I talked to them, and they were like, and I was like asking them like, yeah, like how is he doing, like is he any good? And at the time we were playing for like under 18s, and this guy, he was training with the under 16s because
Yeah.
he wasn't like holding the level of the other guys. And I remember I just got so disgusted by it. It's like
Yeah.
I just like thought football was so unfair, and so it's just crazy how much people influence each other in football. Like
Mm-hmm.
if your brother has a name to get through, and if your father was a great player, then it's even easier for you to
Mm-hmm.
like take the next steps. So that for me was like heartbreaking, and it was like my first experience. I'm pretty sure that all football players that play professionally have like experienced stuff like that, um, unfair stuff, and but you don't have to let it break you. That's the thing. And I remember like it took me like a couple of good months to like shake it off and just keep going. So
Yeah, I think it's sadly quite a big part of football. There's a lot of like, we spoke about it on the other episodes before, is that football's a lot about ego. It's very close to a lot of stuff about power and status and money, and it's all very tied into those values, which create situations like that one that you're in. And so, like, the sad thing is they happen more frequently than than we realize, and that's always really tough to deal with. And like you said, though, it's a test of your character, and it's a test of, you know, okay, I've got to pick myself up and keep going. And obviously, clearly getting to going to Bran afterwards or whatever, like that still shows that you've got it in you to keep going, and you'll have, like you said before, right at the beginning, is you've grown from it, and that's super important because that's what matters in the end of the big picture of your career.
it's unfortunately a huge part of football.
Exactly. I got when things are kind of out of your control. What do you do? Like in injuries and stuff like that. How do you deal with that?
Oof. Uh, Honestly, I've had like a lot of injuries. I've torn my ligaments in twice in my right knee and once in my left knee because I got my knee shell out of position.
Hmm.
So I've been through a lot of setbacks, and different kind of rehabilitations and stuff like that. And the main thing for me was just train hard, but at the same time, like, get your mind to focus on different things as well, not only rehabilitation and how much you want to get back, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what sort of things did you focus on?
Yeah, so that would be, for example, I used to focus on, for example, when I was like, when I had my first surgery, like, try to get socialize with people, like mates, go out for a pizza,
Mm-hmm.
um, just like try to, even though like things are bad and things are like shit, try to um, find another way to be happy and just forget about football for a bit. Try to enjoy yourself while you have the opportunity to take a step back, if that makes sense. So me,
Mm-hmm.
that was really important, to just like get out of the house, even though I was on crutches, go
Mm-hmm.
for a tour downtown, just like do some social stuff with friends. And like now, like my recent injury, like the thing that I've actually started focusing on, I've started to do studies.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to uni now, which is I do it part-time, obviously, because I don't have the time to go fully, but it's, I actually like fell in love with it, just doing something else, just not always focusing on football, because it definitely gets kind of heavy if you don't at least for me, if you don't open your other horizons and just like stay, and just the only thing you do is like think about football,
Mm-hmm.
train. Because I've had periods where I only think about football, and those are the periods where I'm actually feeling worse,
Yeah.
because if something's not going well, then it used to like ruin my day, like at training. If I had a bad training, it used to ruin my day. Like I would have a bad day the rest of the day, and then it would affect the day tomorrow, and etc. And now just try to like focus in on some other stuff as well.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, and that perspective of, can I enjoy the step back? That's it. Like, finding a way, even though in the context of football I'm taking a step back, but in the context of life, can I take a step forward? Like, like exactly. And I think I was reading something the other day about overworking, and it was talking about obviously like normal jobs and like people working too hard and like that. But it was saying about how like people work and spend their time, like if they'd spend over, like, I think it was the most amount of quality time to get the best work done was between 10 to 20 hours a week. And like, okay, I'd say probably in training wise, we're out on the pitch roughly around that much as well. But if you add the time where you're worrying about football, you're thinking about football, all these things, the 20 hour, you cross the 20-hour limit massively. And so I think that when you go past that, you lose like that excitement to train. You lose that excitement to think. And everyone's different, because I know some people that could think about football 20 hours a day and they love every second of it.
But I'm not like that. And like, honestly, like the times I've been the best on the pitch are the times I'm having the most fun outside of the pitch.
Exactly. And you find the balance between the two.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important balance to have. If you want to take steps forward, you need something to motivate you. Practice thinking, today's a great day. We're gonna play matches in training, for example. I'm
Mm-hmm.
super excited,
Mm-hmm.
instead of it being, and you just have to do some work, and just because you have to do it, and just leave afterwards.
Exactly. It's all in the perspective.
Definitely. So
It's
that's been
brilliant.
really important for me, like finding, like, how do you say it in English? Finding like some other areas that I can master as well.
Exactly. Like, I think sharing your energy, not just down one lane. Like, the way I see it is that football's incredible, but I get home every day at 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and they,
We start training at, for example, we have to meet up at 10,
yeah,
and then we eat breakfast, and then we train about like 11:30, and then we train for like an hour and a half, have lunch, and then you're home by like 1:30.
Exactly. And so I always remember the fact that a genius, or like this is obviously from a book, I think it's from Robin Sharma's book, but it says that you can have English. you can't you can't do more than 4 hours of deep work a day. And so I'm like, if I get home at 2 o'clock, I've got 8 hours at least of my day left. So what am I going to do with it? Like, am I just going to sit around, or can like I've still got time to get in some deep work and like focus on other areas of life that are just as exciting? And that,
Humans are like so interesting because we have so much depth in us and
hmm
so many like different areas about ourselves you can explore. So
hmm
for me, it would be kind of sad to only focus on football
exactly.
because now I've been doing really well at school, at uni, but it's not like I'm staying, coming home from practice and reading 5 hours a day. That's not what
hmm
I do at all. I like I usually get home and I do an hour a day.
hmm
That's it. And then obviously I take like Saturday and Sunday off. But I do like 5 times a week, like an hour and a half a day, and that's enough for me.
Exactly. Just
And it
quality
clears my
work.
mind. It clears my mind. And then I have some like other couple of projects going on in my life that I really enjoy at the same time because I'm I'm still young, but like I feel like I'm starting to grow up, and it's just so much to explore and to do. So I'm just like super excited about that as well. So like for instance, I've been trying to get in buy myself an apartment now,
Nice.
and I actually was sitting all this morning on like bidding war for an apartment, which I unfortunately lost.
Ah,
But it was like just like those kind.
yeah.
Those are the ones that like excite me as well. And I think like footballers that like some of footballers are like so intelligent.
hmm
There's so much they can do besides of football or after football, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I don't want to
But
be that kind of guy that only plays football, makes a bit of money, and then just piss it all away.
exactly. And it's like it's 15 years of your life. Like life goes by quickly. Like that's 15 years that if I just spend my time focusing on football when I can be doing more, then like I've wasted half of my days for 15 years, which is so many hours where I could have been finding new loves and finding energy from different places. And like we said before, is that energy actually helps you on the pitch. And
100%. But then it depends
exactly.
who you are and what you like and what you prefer. But to a certain degree, I definitely think that it's something everyone should do.
hmm
And
Yeah, I think quality over quantity. And it's like, and I think it's also amazing to see that you're breaking the mold of like, I'm a footballer, that's all I do. And it's like that box that we're put in, we're expected to just live in that box for the rest of our lives, or at least until we retire.
and for me, for instance, I've been like blessed with being able to speak different languages.
hmm
Um, so for me, it would be like just so stupid to not use it. If
Yeah,
it's in football, then great, and if it's not, then it's great as well. So you have
exactly.
to use your talents in every way you can. There's a lot of footballers nowadays that make football almost more money like away from football than on the
Yeah.
pitch. It can be in whatever. It can be in construction. It can be in real estate. It can be in modeling. It can be in traveling. Being an
hmm
influencer, whatever. So it's so much you can do, and I think like for me, it's been great to open my horizons. Honestly,
I mean, yeah, I completely agree. And like, if I share my kind of one of my biggest dreams that I've always had is that football is my passion, football is my love. But the platform that I create from doing what I love will then lead me to go out and do things that, where I can be myself and change the world in a way that might will help players on the pitch, but also help exactly, exactly, and in whatever like scale that is. But to then have an impact on people off the pitch, on the pitch, and whoever who can do that. And I think that's what It's an incredible kind of thing that we share. I think what going into kind of things on and off the pitch, and like obviously starting with what was difficult and how we deal with that. what is kind of your biggest fear around football and around life, or fears?
Honestly, I think like my biggest fear at the moment is to keep getting injured,
Okay.
because then I feel like, because I have I'm a bit in a sticky situation, because I have a contract, no, 1 year left of my contract.
Hmm.
So if I keep getting injured, then it's going to be kind of hard to renew it and stuff like that. And but the my main fear, my biggest fear in life in general and in football as well, is to let myself down.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like sitting in your own and thinking I didn't do it 100%,
Hmm.
or at least like when I put myself a goal, I always want to achieve it. And my dream as a kid has always been to become a professional. And okay, now I've become a professional, so then I have to put another in front of me.
Yeah.
And that can be, for example, to play in Europe one day, or to make X amount of money, or experience some cool stuff with football. And so now I've like achieved my first goal in life,
Hmm.
but for me it's all about the hunger and wanting to achieve more of your, like, you have to put yourself, because I think you improve so much by doing that. It can be like, okay, for example, I used to say to myself when I wasn't injured, today in practice I'm going to score 3 goals.
Hmm.
And then maybe you score 4 goals, and then the next practice you say, okay, today I'm going to score at least 2 goals.
Hmm.
And let's say you do that, and then you always have to put yourself small goals.
I
And it
love
can be
it.
the same when you're injured. It can be, in 2 weeks I want to walk again.
Hmm.
In 4 weeks I want to be able to go into the bike. It can be like, I just think it's so important to put yourself small goals, so that
Just like breaking down that dream for like, like you said, like setting a dream, but then not worrying about the in between and just working on the next step. Okay, what can I do today? What can I do in this next week? And so making it so feasible that you want to attack it, and you're not in a way like seeing the big mountain and just like, whoa, like that's such a big mountain, that's such a big dream, but actually going, okay, well, if I put one step forward, then I can get to the next bit, then I can get to the next bit. Like, I love that mindset. It's crazy.
I think that's like, but like definitely the biggest fear is not being able to achieve.
Yeah.
Definitely, because then
How,
I know like a lot of talents that just like quit football,
mm-hmm.
and I just like think to myself, the day I quit football because I'm not motivated anymore, or because I'm just, then I'm going to be heartbroken.
Yeah.
I won't even be able to watch the Prem on the television.
Yeah. How do you deal with that fear, like, when things are like, for example, with injuries, or when it's obviously kind of like in your mind, and it's or even if it's not like those words are in your mind, but the effects of that fear are kind of affecting you. How do you deal with it?
I'm just really trying to just put everything on my side to achieve those goals. Like, it doesn't necessarily happen by thinking,
Hmm.
but like I've thought about it like for so long that it just like happens naturally.
Hmm.
That can be, for example, let's say, okay, my friends are arranging a great summer party, for example, but unfortunately I have a training tomorrow at 10.
Hmm.
It can be just like, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to that party. You could go, but you can be careful about what you do at the party to make
Hmm.
sure that you're ready for training, for example, or it
Yeah.
can be just getting into bed early enough, where you can be doing all the boring stuff, like the rehab stuff, all
Yeah.
the small exercises for you, from, in my case, for my knees or whatever, is just like putting yourself into the position to like always evolve. I think that's,
I love that.
but it can happen with football, and it can be other stuff as well. You just have to like figure out what makes you a better guy and what makes you happy. And when you're happy, everything makes more sense, and everything just like suits more in place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so what I think kind of like you're alluding to is it was talked about I think by Dr. Huberman, which says like the way you work as a human is that you have a perspective, and then from the perspective you kind of then have like a feeling, an emotion, and then you're aware of that. Then you have a thought, and then the action happens because you think I want to do this. So, but what it sounds like you're kind of doing, which is like what a lot of people are kind of trying to flip it, is that if you focus on finding a way to evolve, and just by doing that action, okay, this is going to get me one step in front, this is my injury rehab, this is going to bed earlier, always finding that way, you're setting the action, which then changes your thinking, which then changes your feeling, and then changes your perspective. And so it's like you're flipping the order of how it works by just doing what you've got to do to evolve.
Yeah, then people like a lot of people could like disagree with me by saying, "Oh, you shouldn't go to that party."
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying, go to that party, be with your friends for a couple of hours, have
Mm-hmm.
fun. You can drink some soda. You don't need to have a drink. You can drink.
Yeah.
People don't care at a party. People don't care what you drink as long as they see that you drink. They don't really like get into what you're drinking. So I'm not saying go get shit faced and just just train bad tomorrow. I'm just
Hmm.
saying, for me, I'm a super social guy. I need to feel that I'm able to do some other things than just playing football.
Okay.
So it's all about doing it the right way to make your football work. But at the same time, I'm super social. I like if I have a day off or like a weekend off, I can go to with the boys downtown
Hmm.
and like, for example, have a beer or two. But
Hmm.
it's but you never see me shit faced. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
It's always a balance.
that's the balance I'm trying to find in my life in whatever I do, if it's football or because I think it's so important. Like I know a lot of like good football talents that are like really talented and like good players, but they're just so shit like socially.
Yeah.
And I just think it like definitely like affects you later on in life.
Yeah, I think there's two ways, and it's like that balance is crucial because some people think that it's all about like they just work and work and work and work and work, and they never slow down and experience time with their friends.
Exactly. Or
Uh,
or like do something that they actually have pleasure of.
Exactly, exactly. And so they kind of lose themselves in this idea of like you have to do that's like and I think a lot of people do that at the moment is that it all becomes about doing, doing, doing. How much can I do when actually slowing down, being with your friends and just being there and just being present and enjoying a laugh is incredible. And then you get people who are the opposite, who lose control of that pleasure and they can't find the balance. They, like you said, they do it the wrong way, where they lose like their passion as well because they can't control it and it becomes like a vice.
What talents have you seen being carried away because of partying?
Exactly. Yeah,
You need to find a balance. You need to like find to give yourself pleasure as well sometimes.
I
I
completely
think that's
agree.
super. Podcast the other day with this, I don't know, remember his name, Tannert, his after name.
Yeah, Craig Tanner. Yeah.
And he was like, the funny part is that I actually seen him play, which is kind of fucking crazy.
No way.
Yeah. And the funny part is that he was saying that once you're injured, I think that you should
Mhm.
like take some time to actually like enjoy yourself. If you like
Mhm.
want to eat shit one day, like do it.
Exactly.
If that it's all about taking the steps, falling like one step down and taking three steps forward. And he was saying
Exactly.
that as well. And I think if he's going to see this podcast, I'm pretty sure he's going to 100% agree with me.
Well, yeah, that was like his whole thing, and that just enjoy life and slow down and just don't get carried away by it. But Matteo, you have such kind of obviously like an open perspective on life, like you said. How have you created that open perspective? Like, how do you make sure that you're always open and always, yeah, as open as possible?
Definitely because I've traveled a lot.
Hmm.
As I told you, I've been on a lot of like trials and stuff like that, and just met a lot of different people. I've been
Hmm.
having supportive parents, open-minded parents, surrounded myself with open-minded people like you, for instance. You're starting your own podcast. Like, that's awesome, man, honestly. And it's all about that. I think just surrounding yourself with the right people, right group of people. And And just like if you know you're good at something and you work in the right way, your fruits will come at some points, some point anyways, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just in football people forget that it's timing, luck, contacts, and obviously work.
Yeah.
And that's what people forget, because I've seen a lot of people just quitting football because they didn't make it by the age of 20. Now we're seeing more and more people making it by the age of 25, 26, 27. And don't tell me Jamie Vardy never enjoyed himself before he came to the Prem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm just saying, like, I want to be that kind of guy who obviously dedicated my life to football, but at the same time wouldn't regret it because I still made my experiences and still experience a lot of great stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. So what it seems is like you're taking the initiative to take risks and to enjoy life. Not risks in the way of like partying every night, but risks to go to other countries, to do other things, to travel, like you said. And like I remember I saw this quote the other day: "No risk, no story." Like that hit me so hard. But then also kind of like you said, the timing is pretty much out of your control, right? Luck is pretty much out of your control. Contacts you can control a bit, but you never know who's going to really back you up. But work is all you can exactly. But work is all you can control. And so if you put in the work and you can control what you can control, that's all you can do. And so then you kind of, if you realize that that's all you can focus on, then why worry about anything that you can't? And so it's all this pressure that everyone puts on themselves to be, oh, I've got to make 20 first team appearances by I'm 18. If I haven't, like I said, I've failed and I haven't got a new big deal at 20. Okay, what can I do? Okay, I failed. You can either quit or you can take 6 months where you have to, you know, eat shit. You go to a lower club. You go to a place where you're not going to be treated as well. All these different things. Exactly. And so you take exactly.
To do it. And I think people are like stuck in one way to make it, because you see all those these young talents, Erling Haaland, which is from my area. I actually know him personally. Erling Haaland, you have Jadon Sancho, you have all those guys who make it by the age of like 18, 19. But bro, if you think about the percentage that they are in compared to the rest of the world, they're in the 1%. You can't just keep comparing yourself with them.
Exactly. Again, that's such a big point. Is you can only compare yourself to your standards. If you're happy with your standards, how you're putting in, brilliant. Maintain that. But the second you start, like I think, what's this? Comparison is the killer of joy.
Yeah, definitely. And you should just like stop comparing yourself to other people. And even though like politics and stuff fuck you over at times and it can be like sore and hard to understand, it's just life. I think it's politics and unfairness. You find it if it's in business, if it's in real estate, if it's in football. It's just like a lesson you have to learn.
Exactly.
And you just it's a hard pill to swallow, but you only swallow it once, and then after that you just don't care anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly. How do you manage that not caring? How do you manage that? How have you seen like your ego throughout your whole journey? And obviously for those again, ego is how you see yourself and your self identity. How have you managed that?
You know, the funny part is that like my I call my golden days for some reason, when I felt like everything was just like perfect before all injuries, you know, before coming to England.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be very, very cocky.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
and and the funny part is that growing and having those hard experiences that I've had with, like, it can be like whether it's in football or whatever, it just made me so much more how do you say, down to earth.
Grounded. Yeah.
Grounded, yeah, definitely. Because then when you're young and you're doing well with football, you're on the top of the world. You feel like the king of the castle, and that's the scary part.
Yeah.
So
I think
definitely,
it's
like I used to be like, I would actually call myself like egocentric and cocky piece of shit when I was younger. But now I'm just trying to do what I can do and control what I can control. And I know that life isn't always fair. You know, like sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't. But as I said, the biggest fear is not is to not have been able to put all your cards in the right hand. And then if you hit the jackpot, you hit the jackpot, and if not, you don't. But at least you tried and you gave it 100%.
100% agree. What would you say to yourself, kind of like 5 years ago? What advice would you give to that cocky young Matteo?
Do rehab work, because obviously, like I was talented, but I didn't have any form of work ethic.
hmm
So, because like I came to like Viking, as I told
Yeah.
you, I was just like I knew I was good, you know,
hmm
and then I knew I could like make it somewhere with football. But did I work more than I should? Nah,
hmm
I only did what was expected of me, which was coming to training.
Yeah.
But once that was over, I didn't really care, you know, and
hmm
that's it's just like work ethic, man. It's just in everything in life. If you just learn how to put your hours in, and if you just learn to like just give it 100% in everything you do, I think you're gonna come a long way in a lot of different things. And a lot of young players that are good early, they just forget to work, you know.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, so easy to get carried away, and like I think that's why those setbacks and those things that are unfair and incredible thing to happen. Like, would you say you probably got to the point where you're grateful for that? Like, again, it's not perfect, but it's made you who you are today.
Yeah, and I'm happy, you know. I'm I financially I'm okay. I earn money playing football, you know, and
Exactly.
what
That's
more can you ask of? You can just try to get as far as possible, but you can't always control it.
exactly.
If you're just and you make, you know, obviously money isn't everything, but in my money, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I can do the things I want. I can be early, you know, but it's just like eh, being able to be happy and invest in your future. That's the best thing. And yeah, I'm super pumped about it. And then obviously it was harder in Norway because you don't have the same infrastructures as the academies in England and etc. You know, because like obviously like we were in like top academies in Norway, but you'll never get close to what it is in England, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like you guys are much more hardworking than what we are,
hmm
in the term of you don't have any other choice. But I come like Norway is a very rich country, and you always have different opportunities, and
hmm
that's also something you have to consider, and which can be scary at times as well. But
Yeah.
like in England, you if you have a coach and you have an infrastructure and that doesn't let you be that lazy kid, you know.
I think for example, my last year, I can relate to that is when I signed for Salford and under Warren Joyce. Like that was a life changing year for me because I always used to you remember me at Fab. I always used to work and try and work harder than everyone else. Um, but then to have someone that would set that example as a coach who expected us to work hard, like I learned so much, and I found that environment like amazing for me because it was like a minimum example. Like that was the set standard, and the amount I grew from that was life changing for me as a player. Exactly. So
And now like when you make it as a pro, you have the opportunity to actually like you have all the facilities and
mhm.
everything to so it's all up first have the chance, either you grab it or either you don't, and then you can't always control it as I said, but you can at least give it 100% when you first
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
the chance. Think of how many kids wish that they were in our shoes, or like play how many kids
hmm
are dreaming of that.
Exactly. It's always a really humbling thing, isn't it? And it's that always reminds me, like, I've got this thing, I've got to work harder than everyone else, I've got to use it. And I think it's, again, like, it's just special to be able to do that and to be grateful for that. And then you realize that whether you're playing in the first team, whether you're on the bench, all these different things, they happen. I can't control that. And you got to go back to the grateful things. I'm doing what I love. And so many people could, like, wish to be there. And it's incredibly, like, it keeps me grounded. And I know it does for you. And I think that kind of, I've lost my thought.
Or at the Fab Academy, for example,
Exactly.
you can, like, let's say there was like, I don't know, maybe like 200 kids in total.
Mm-hmm.
I only have one handful of people I know that have made it professionally from the Fab Academy, for example.
If that, yeah.
If that,
Yeah.
And so when you first have the opportunity, things are easier.
Exactly. And I think, like you said on the thing, if you can't, that first opportunity or the next one, it doesn't work out, it doesn't keep working out. Like you said, going back to the longer game, is that there's always a way. There is always a way to do what you want to do.
Okay, let's say you're not the most talented guy, but you're having such a blast with football.
Yeah.
Let's say you play non-league.
Yeah.
In England, you play non-league, fine. Maybe like it isn't your dream. You train 3-4 times a week, if even that, but you're excited for every training, and suddenly you score 20 plus goals a season. What happens then?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody comes and picks you up, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to make it.
100%.
You just have to be focused and wanting it enough. It's all about that.
I completely agree. What's next for you? What are your dreams as a person, as a footballer? And I mean, I can already guess the answer, but what's most important to you going through those dreams and going after those?
Showing people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, that's a huge motivation for me. Like, how many times have you been doubted, or how many times have you heard, I don't know if he's good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Those Fulham experiences for me, they were, wow, like, knowing that you're good enough, but not be given the opportunity. That is probably, and like showing people now that you actually like do play professionally and you're actually making a living out of football.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like the coolest thing about it.
Yeah, it's a huge motivation, and for you to be able to flip that and turn it into something which you can use, that's incredible, and that's an incredible dark energy that we've spoken about loads of times on the podcast. Is that dark energy is going to be able to motivate you. That fears are going to be able to motivate you just as much as the love, and like the balance between those, between using love and using fear and like dark energy, bad things, they're both equally as important as the other, and they're going to get you to work harder. They're going to get you through tough times. They're going to get you to the next level.
Is that it's a very thin line between.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be like having a conscience about it and being aware of what situation you're in.
Mm-hmm. And finding the balance at the right time to know. Like I always kind of remember the thing is that if your finish line's here of whatever goal or dream it may be, and you're here, that it's not just going to be a straight line. You're going to be going right. Then you're going to be like, okay, I need to correct, and so on. And so it's going to be a zigzag, and it's just...
How fun is it when you first like do something great after periods like that?
Yeah, exactly. And it's every time you change direction, you're like, whoa, I've got a bit too, like, I'm working too hard, like I'm going to burn out. Okay, let's take the foot off the gas. Oh, I've taken the foot off the gas a bit too much. And so it's just that awareness and that recorrecting. And every time you make that change, that's like a crazy moment, because you're like, okay, let's recalibrate. Let's find my path again.
I fully agree, man. Honestly.
And the energy that comes from that is also super inspiring. You feel it, like, I can make this change. Let's go again.
Yeah, definitely 100%. And it's just like when you first like are in a dark place, and once you get out and you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you finally make it out of the tunnel, that's the best feeling in the world. So it's definitely the most motivating things is people doubting you, and as well, like being able to achieve something that you never thought you would achieve, or at least like, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
And
definitely that.
for a final question, we ask everyone kind of what makes you more than an athlete, a footballer? What makes you human?
What makes me more than what?
More than an athlete, and what makes you human?
Human. Yeah, how do you say it in English? Humility.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I've learned that, and just being able to reproduce my energy in several different places. I think that's what makes me human, and only not only an athlete.
I completely agree. I love that humility because it's like I always remember the Dalai Lama saying that he's the Dalai Lama, for example, and there's only one Dalai Lama in the world. And he always says though, but I'm one of 7 billion human beings. I'm not I'm not the Dalai Lama. Like, yes, I may be the Dalai Lama, but I see myself as just an ordinary human. And that always gets me is that, like you said, that cool, it's amazing to be grateful that you're a professional footballer and you're doing what you love, but at the same time I'm one of 7 billion human beings. That's all I am.
Like I never tend to judge people when I meet them, because you never know what they've been through. You never know what they do in life. You never know where they come from, and it's just like if you're just open-minded. I'm trying to be as open-minded as I want to, and sometimes I'm not enough, but I just try my best, and I just meet so much great people that just like makes me happy and makes me evolve.
Yeah.
So that part makes me human, I think, definitely.
I love it, man.
One last thing.
Go for it.
The guy you had on the podcast, the name was Tanner.
Yeah, Craig Tanner. Yeah.
Tanner, yeah. So the funny part is that I actually went to England last year before coronavirus, and because I was gonna link up with two of my friends that I got to know at Fulham.
Yeah.
One of them is a goalkeeper. His name is Tay Ashby Hammond, and the other one is called Moritz. Moritz now plays in Switzerland for Lausanne.
No.
But anyways, because he was loaned out, he went on a loan at Maidenhead.
Okay, yeah.
And they were playing the derby against
Aldershot.
Yes. And I remember I went there, and I just because I had to wait for them to start the warm-up and start the game and etc. And I was actually going to a pub in Maidenhead.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there. I just saw all these other guys with the blue and red. That's the color of the team.
Yeah.
The opposition, right? And I was sitting, and I was sitting on the side that your friend played on.
Yeah.
And I was kind of impressed, because I thought to myself, this guy that guy is not bad. He could definitely play in top leagues like Sweden and Norway,
Yeah.
And I was just and then I saw him. Fuck, I know that face. I've seen it before. I don't know where it's from. And I clicked on his Insta, and I just saw that he was playing. Just saw play, and he was the guy I actually thought was the best one on the field.
Love
so it was
that.
just, how fucking small is the world? It's just kind
It's
of fucking
crazy.
crazy.
It is. It is.
So if
I
you
love
talk to
that.
him, you give him my
Respect. Yeah. I said. Well, hopefully Craig's watching it.
and hopefully, if he wants to come to Norway once, he can come.
Yeah, he does love a walk in some scenic environment. So Norway or whatever would be I think he'd enjoy that. All right, man. Well, it's been amazing to having you on. Great conversation, and I hope everyone's can take something, because there's so many key gems and bits of information here and advice that can help anyone.
You had me on, and hopefully let's link up again when Corona's over.
Let's do it, man. All right. So much love. Thank you for everyone listening, and yeah, goodbye.